Hey guys, welcome back to the 6th day of the 25 days of Kitmas. Today's video is probably going to be one of the most important videos that I'm going to film for this whole entire series because today is going over makeup kit sanitation and hygiene. This is one of the #1 responsibilities of a makeup artist. It's probably not going to come super naturally to you, but you do want to make sure you almost ingrain this habitually in your head so you do know these steps for when you have paying clients in your chair. This is going to be specifically helpful for people who take clients back to back to back in one singular job. So say you are a bridal makeup artist or you're a makeup artist that's working on a film and television set and have multiple talents. This is what you're going to do in between each and every person in your chair. So let's dive into it. I want to go over the things that you definitely will need to have as far as kit sanitation. You need a bottle of 70% alcohol. You do have to have 70% exactly as far as the dilution ratio, and this is because if you have anything over 70%, it will evaporate way too quickly and will not sanitize anything. But if you have under 70%, then it will not sanitize it enough to do anything. Then the other things you're going to need to have to work hygienically is a palette and a spatula. This palette is a clear acrylic palette that came from the Artist Kit company. Clear acrylic palettes are a lot better in my opinion than stainless steel palettes because of the fact that they are clear. So any products that you put on top, any swatches or anything, will not be distorted by the stainless steel or any color underneath it. The other thing you can do with this that's very helpful, if you are having trouble foundation matching somebody, what you can do is you can put all your swatches along one of the edges, hold it up to somebody's face, and you can easily see if that color matches them or not. And then the last thing you're going to need is a spatula. This one is a stainless steel spatula. I got this one off of Amazon. It's just double-ended, has a pointed side and also a more squared tip side, and this is for depotting all of your cream products. To make this easier to understand, I'm going to just go in order that I usually go in to do a regular makeup application, and then we will pretend like we're sanitizing everything afterwards, even though these products are already clean. The first thing that I usually do is go in with my eyeshadow primer, because I do the eyes first. So let's go in, say, with the MAC Paint Pot. This is a cream product, as you can see, and we're gonna go ahead and depot this. So we're just gonna take it out with the spatula, and then put it right on the palette. And then what you're going to do is take a makeup brush and work off the palette. You should never be working off the back of your hand. You always want to do it on a palette. Now, the reason why we always want to scoop out creams, please never just spray off a cream with alcohol. You will not be sanitizing 100%. Since creams are emollient, they harbor bacteria, and that bacteria flows all the way throughout the whole entire cream product and can go into all the different layers of it, which means that even if you spray the top of it, you're not getting the whole entire product saturated. Even if you spray off the product and mix it in with a spatula, because I know that's the next thought, it's still not going to get it clean to the point where you need it to be to apply to another person's face. And then let's just hypothetically say that we're going into an eyeshadow palette next. So I'm using the Makeup by Mario Master Mattes palette. Say that we use this and now we're done with it. Since it is a powder product, we can take our 70% alcohol and completely saturate it. As you can tell, this is a lighter color to begin with, but when we spray everything down with alcohol, it will change obviously to a darker color. You need to make sure that everything is completely saturated. We're going to set this aside and wait until it turns back to its original color. That means that the alcohol has been fully absorbed and it is sanitized. Now you may ask, why don't you have to depot powders? And this is because the bacteria on powders cannot penetrate past the surface level. So this is why it can be either wiped away with a tissue on the surface level or sprayed down with alcohol on the surface, and it will kill the bacteria. Next, I would go in with eyeliner. Let's just say we are using the Inglot 77 liner. I'm gonna scoop it out again because this eyeliner is a cream product, and we're gonna put it on our palette. Take an eyeliner brush and then work off the palette. Next, we would go in with mascara. So with mascara, you never, ever, ever want to use the disposable that comes in the mascara. And this is for cross-contamination purposes. Even if you spray it off with alcohol, again, it is considered more of a cream or a liquid product. And that means that bacteria can harbor in the whole entire product. So to ensure that we do not cross-contaminate, we're going to use disposables. So I specifically have these little mascara wands. I prefer the pink ones instead of the black ones only because I can see if I have the product fully saturated on the bristles, whereas with the black ones it does blend in too much and I can't see how much product is on there. So I do recommend definitely getting a different colored tip than black. So what we're going to do is we're going to go in and pick up some of the product. Say we're coating the mascara on your client's eyes. Once you're done with this, do not double dip it back in here because that kind of negates the purpose of having a disposable. If you need to add more, what you're going to do is throw this away, grab a new disposable, dip it in again, and then use it. And then we're going to close that back up. Some makeup artists, if they are tempted to double dip, they will completely cut off the actual applicator that comes in the tube. So that way they're not tempted, and it almost reminds them to not use the applicator. Now, I can't specifically show you this with lashes because I don't want to waste any of the lashes, but with false eyelashes, the main thing with these is that if you put these on a person's eye to measure them, that's already made contact with a person's skin and that is now contaminated. So what you want to do now, instead of using a brush tip applicator, if you have one for your lash glue, you can buy these little applicators that are liner applicators. Dip this in the lash glue and then put this on the actual lash band. That way you're not cross-contaminating that lash glue. Now we're going on to foundations. Say I wanted to use this foundation on somebody. I already have mine depotted into a little container. All you want to do for this is you just want to put it directly on your palette. Use a sponge or a brush and work directly off of here. You do not want to work off the back of your hand or anywhere else. Concealers, same thing. Now this is kind of a tricky one, but majority of the time you will have concealers that come with little doe foot applicators like this. So option number one is you can just use the doe foot, go over here, roll it onto your palette. Then you can take a concealer brush and then dip directly into here and work off the palette. The other option is you can take a little lip applicator wand and have that substitute out for the actual applicator inside of here. You can dip that in here like this and then apply it to your client's face with the applicator. Again, never want to double dip. Again, if you need more concealer, you want to throw this away, take another applicator, dip that in the concealer, and then apply it. The other thing I forgot to mention really quickly is that if you are using disposable sponges, so either sponges that are these triangle wedge sponges or any sponges that are these as well. I actually did run out of these guys. I was waiting for them to come on Amazon. That's why I picked up these wedge ones, but I do not use the wedge ones permanently. They were just a temporary solution. I will cut these in half because realistically, you do not need to use the entire circumference of the sponge. And in order to make these go a little bit further, you never ever want to reuse sponges. If you followed me for my very first freelance makeup kit video that I did in 2020, I used to reuse the actual $20 beauty blender sponges because they were so expensive. But I found out that the Wonder Blender, the Paw Paw ones, Shop Miss A, are so good, and they provide a really soft quality sponge that feels really good whenever you get them wet, and they are a lot more cost efficient. Like this whole entire pack is like $9 to $10, I would say. So yes, I would definitely recommend just buying something that's a little bit cheaper like this because you cannot reuse sponges. Even if you deep clean them, spray them down with alcohol, sponges overall are meant to be absorbent, which means that they absorb bacteria. This is why whenever you see those like awful freaking videos of people cutting into their beauty blenders and having all this mold on the inside of them, that's the reason. So if you do keep reusing your sponges, that is what you're putting in each of your clients' face. So make sure that if you are using sponges like I am, make sure you are either gifting them to the person or just throwing them away like a disposable. Next, I would go on to cream bronzer. I have mine all depotted into this. This is a cream product, so you're going to want to depot it. I'm just going to take this darker one so you can see it. And then I'm going to find a new place and then put it here. And then make sure as you go, you are wiping off your spatula just so you aren't contaminating anything. So next we're going on to the liquid blush. This is one of those liquids that is similar to the concealer packaging. So it does have a little doe foot applicator on it. So in this case, you could either do the rolling method or you can take one of those doe foot applicators and apply it that way. Next, going on to powder bronzer. I have mine all depotted into here, but say we're using the powder bronzer. Again, these are powders, so we can just spray them down with alcohol, let it dry. Then say we're using this blush. Again, it's a powder blush. So what do? Spray it down with alcohol until it's fully coated. Then last on the face is highlighter. And we're just going to spray that down because that is a powder product as well. And then the only thing I have not covered quite yet is loose powders. So I do carry loose powders and I carry pressed powders. Pressed powders are powders, so you can just spray them down. However, loose powders work a little bit differently. I actually decided to put my Huda Beauty loose powders into these little containers. So a lot of people ask me how I get these out and work with them. So all I do is open these, and they are just squeeze jars. So this can actually be squeezed directly on the palette. And also, I'm at a really weird angle right now, so I'm so sorry if you can't see it very well, but it is on the palette. However, let's just say that you're keeping it in the container. What you want to do is you want to twist this off, open up the packaging, take your spatula, and scoop it out, and then put it on your palette. I actually, for the Huda Beauty ones, removed this netting completely. I just took scissors and cut it out completely just so I had access to the product a little bit easier. So if you do still have the netting on here, sometimes with loose powders, it's easier to just dump it into its lid and then just work from the actual packaging. You can dunk a powder brush in here, or you can do the scooping method with the spatula and put it on your palette. Just make sure if you are a person who's using the lid for the application, you want to spray the whole entire thing out with alcohol before you recap it. Otherwise, you're just putting bacteria into the packaging of the powder. Okay, so then we have a brow pencil here. Brows I usually do first, but I completely forgot about it. So I just have a twist up pencil. All I have to do is just spray this down with alcohol and it's completely good to go. We're going to go on to lips. So I have this lip liner, and this is the only thing that is a little bit different. So what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and uncap it, spray it completely down with alcohol. We are going to wait till this dries all the way. Okay, it is completely dry now. Then we are going to take a pencil sharpener and sharpen it. And then once we have it sharpened, we are going to completely coat it again with alcohol, let it dry, and then you can cap it back up again. And that is how you sanitize pencil products. Lastly, if we're going on to lipsticks, I have mine depotted into a little palette. It's a cream product, so we're just going to scoop it out, find a clean section of the palette, and put it right there. Use either a lipstick brush or a doe foot applicator and work off the palette. Now let's just say that you kept yours in the original packaging and it looks like this. Use your spatula, scrape off a little bit of the top of it, and put it right on your palette and then work off of there. And then last thing I wanted to cover is if you have any twist up pens that are like this. So this is the MAC Prep and Prime highlighter, but any of them that like twist like this to get the product out, what you want to do is twist it up, put it on your palette, and that is safely hygienic to use. The other thing, if you happen to have any loose pigments, so I have 3 loose pigments right on top. Let's just say I want to use this middle shade. All I'm going to do is just scoop it out, put the pigment on the palette. Again, take your eyeshadow brush and work off of there. If you do have a pigment though in its container still, just shake it out of the shaker that it's in and then put it on your palette and work off of there. Moral of the story is, if you're in doubt with anything, make sure you just put it on your palette hygienically and you're using your spatula to do it. Oh, and then one more tip that I have with when you do put everything on your palette. Say like you made quite a mess and maybe your palette kind of looks like this. Say you want to add more foundation and yours was something that was a cream that had to be scooped out with a spatula and put on your palette. You do not want to touch the spatula to anywhere in this section because you just put this on somebody's face. So if you did touch your spatula to this part, you would have to sanitize the spatula before you put it into any other product. Otherwise, you are cross-contaminating everything. Make sure you find a clean spot every single time and almost kind of work in sections when you're laying your products down on there to make it a little bit more easy to work with. And that way you're not taking up the entire space. You can also carry multiple palettes with you too. I have about 4 different palettes that I keep with me. I have 2 of these guys, and I have 2 of them with like little wells in them too for liquid products. And then the last thing I want to do is when you're all done with your palettes, you want to make sure you spray them down really good with alcohol and clean everything. So with the powders, I'm going to just scrape these off because otherwise they're going to go flying. And this is very messy, so I'm going to go ahead and just put it down here. Okay, and it kind of went flying anyways. Okay, so we are just cleaning up everything on here. And that is completely fine if it takes you a couple of goes to clean everything, which it honestly might, especially with the eyeliner. Because the longer the eyeliner sits on there, the more it's going to harden, especially if you're using gels like I do. Sometimes if you put a little bit of a makeup remover, like the Clinique one that I have, that one will also clean it off pretty well too. Okay, I'm going to give it one last spritz. Just to make sure that everything is as clean as it possibly can be. Don't forget to wipe the edges as well. And now we have a nice clean palette. And then you also want to sanitize your spatula as well. So I'm going to completely coat that guy. And then we're also going to wipe that off. And spraying off your tools, by the way, also does apply with scissors and any lash applicators that you use as well. Okay, that is the end of this video. I really hope you guys learned some helpful tips. Again, this was probably one of the most important videos in this whole entire Kitmas series because you always want to maintain the correct sanitation procedures and know how to be a really clean makeup artist. Comment down below if you guys have any questions specifically, but the main thing is to kind of separate things into categories and think about how you sanitize each and every one of those categories. So anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, go ahead and give me a big thumbs up, as well as also subscribing down to my channel if you guys have not already. And if you guys have not hit the notification bell yet, please go ahead and do so because you do not want to miss the other Kitmas videos that I have planned. Tomorrow's Kitmas video is going to be focusing on me just deep cleaning my whole entire makeup kit. Until then, I hope you guys have an absolutely fantastic day, and I will talk to you guys in my next video. All right, bye.